Good morning. Okay, so I recorded this probably twice this morning. The first time, my daughter spilled my coffee on me. The second time, I realized I was recording without sound. So I'm going to try this again, and I hope that I can make some sense of this. So I recently did a short showing you guys this Jinhao 9019, and I loved it. I just had the green one, which is the one that I showed you, and it was a fine nib, and I loved how it wrote. So I really wanted to try the extra fine and the medium option. So the red one there is a extra fine, and then the ivory one is also a fine because I really liked it, and the purple one is a medium. So sorry, the clear one, there's purple ink in it right now. That's the first one right there that I'm holding. The green one, and the green one and the ivory one both have the fine nib, and they have a heartbeat nib, and I'm not really sure. I need to do some googling. I don't really know what that means. I'm not sure if that has anything to do with the way it writes, or it's just the look of it. So anyway, I'm going to show you where I drew with them, and I'm also going to show you my writing samples that I did with them, just so that you can get an idea about what each one looks like as far as how thick they are when they write. So that one right there, that burgundy colored one, is the one I did with an extra fine nib. I will say that it's still smooth, but not as smooth as the others, like both of the fine. That one right there, that gray one, is what I put in the ivory, and it's a fine nib also. And then the purple got really thick, and then the green one also looks thick too, but the green is also a fine. So I really like those because you can definitely tell a difference in the nibs. That one right there is the purple. That's the only one. The purple is the only one I did with that medium nib right there. And that was on Midori paper. The other paper I was showing you was my Hobonichi Weeks, which is my favorite paper. So anyway, I'm going to do the writing sample in the Hobonichi Weeks just because that's my favorite paper to write on with fountain pens. These pens are pretty easy to fill. Most bottles, like that one right there, is a diamine pink glitz. I think you can get the barrel all the way inside that one. It might have been too thick right there, but I didn't actually use the pink glitz for that red pen. I used, what did I use? Waterman red and Waterman purple. I kind of mixed them. I don't really know if it did much, but I like mixing ink. But if you can't get the nib in, because it is a pretty hefty pen, you can just pull the converter out like a regular fountain pen. One thing I do love about this one, the 9019, is it comes with a gold converter, which I don't really see that on any other pens, even pens I have that cost more than these, which all of these pens cost $5 to $6. So that's a pretty good deal. Less than 20 bucks, I think I paid for 4 pens. So anyway, it also holds a ton. Can you see the ink capacity there? So I almost think it holds as much as my TWSBI. I'm going to have to do a little bit of a test because I think the TWSBI holds up to 2 millimeters. I'm not quite sure. I think that's correct. I'll have to do some of my own math on that one. But if you don't want that much of a color inside your pen, you can just, just fill it halfway full or a fourth full or whatever it is that you think you're going to use. I think I filled a lot of these halfway full because I wasn't quite sure if I was going to like the color that I put in the pen. But most of the time I just go ahead and fill my pen all the way up and just use it till the ink is out. But I know that some people like to swap theirs out more often than that. So that's the beauty of a converter. You can just put as much as you want and use as much as you want. So, and if you don't mix the ink like I did, you can always put it back in the bottle if you get tired of that one color in that pen. So anyway, I really, really like these pens. I feel like they're very smooth, and I feel like especially value for what you get. I mean, what you pay for these pens, I really feel like you get a good experience. So I wrote in my Hobonichi Cousin, my favorite journal. That was the green one. That was a fine nib, and it looks really broad to me almost. And then I used also the purple in this one, and I got really good big and some small, but yeah, they were all, I think you can kind of get different line variations depending on how hard you press, and depending on what paper you use, but I feel like it writes a lot more like my broad nibbed pens that I have. So that's my personal opinion, that the medium writes more like a broad and the fine writes more like a medium, and the extra fine probably writes more like a fine. So anyway, those were some letters I did. I just, random little bubble letters that I filled in with my pens, and it was really fun because they were really juicy. I didn't feel like I was having to scratch the ink on or anything like that. So anyway, I think some of that wasn't the ink that bled. It grabbed the ink from the page before. So anyway, starting over with a clean page, and I'm just going to show you what each of these pens do. I mean, as far as writing samples, I know I just showed you some, but sometimes it helps to see the actual pen writing. So anyway, that's what I'm doing here. That one is a fine nib. I don't know why I was starting with that one. Oh, there we go. See, this is what happens when you go back and record it. I don't remember what I was doing because I did this morning, and now I'm having to record the voice over the top, which feels super unnatural to me, but it's either that or make an entire new video, which is not super practical today. So anyway, that one's the extra fine nib right there. You can tell that it's obviously a lot finer than the other one, and it felt, like I said, it's not scratchy, but it definitely, the extra fine to me doesn't feel as smooth as the fine and the medium. So I don't know if I would buy another extra fine, but I would definitely buy another medium, a couple more mediums and a couple more fines, just because I really enjoy the writing experience. I actually really like how big the barrel is. I don't know if that makes a big difference to some people or not, but I like that you can still write inside these small grids with the extra fine if that's how you like to write. Like I've mentioned before, I have pretty big handwriting. Even though I try to make it smaller, it never seems to work with me. So that's the fine nib again that I'm about to use. That one is the one that originally got me started, and I felt like it was so juicy and broad that I felt like I had to go try the other nibs when I saw that they had other sizes. So this one, I try to match my inks with my pens, and I've said that before because then I don't have any surprises when I go to use my pen. So that one I feel like is a pretty good match. I think that one is a Pilot ink, and then like I said before, in the top one I mixed 2 different Waterman inks, and maybe that also has something to do with it. I know that some people are really good at understanding like what inks work best with what nib and what pen. I'm not as experienced in that as I should or could be. I just like a pleasant writing experience, and sometimes I forget to consider all the factors. So anyway, that one never bleeds, that particular Pilot, but I do sometimes have problems with Pilot inks bleeding. Maybe just in certain pens, I'm not really sure. Like my Pilot Kakuno, I've told you before, that one always bleeds on me. Okay, and then this one again is another fine, which I didn't need another fine, but for some reason I really loved that, not matte, but that opaly kind of color, ivory color. I really liked that one, so I got another matte. I think that one's a diamine gray inside that pen. Also a fine nib. I feel like it writes really smooth, like a broad nib. That one's really cool. And again, that one, because it's a fine nib, has the heartbeat nib on it. And again, I need to do some research because I'm not quite sure what that means, except for you can see the heartbeat squiggle or whatever you want to call it on the nib. I wasn't really paying attention to that. I just wanted that pen, and I loved that the pens had gold nibs and gold accents and were really stout pens. So one thing too that I like about these pens is that you can post them and they're not too heavy because they're acrylic. So I feel like you can write with or without it, and it's not going to tire out your hand, at least in my experience. And then my favorite one is the medium, of course, because I like a really juicy pen. So this one I put purple Waterman ink in it. I think just purple Waterman, and this one writes so smooth. I really, really like this one. So I definitely want to buy some more medium nibs, and I don't know, I might buy even more of the clear one so I can put whatever color ink I want in it, because like I said, a lot of times I like to match my inks and then I feel constricted when the pen's a certain color. When it's a clear demonstrator, I feel like I can do whatever I want. So anyway, that one's really thick and juicy. I love that one. I will definitely be buying more. I had somebody comment on my short video about the Jinhao 9019, and they were saying they felt confused about if they should buy the 9016, the 9013, or the 9019. So of course that makes me want to buy the other two and compare them. So I'll be doing that soon. It'll probably be a couple weeks before those pens show up, but I will compare all 3 of those pens, those 3 models, and I will probably buy fine and medium in those other 2 as well, just because, like I said, extra fine's not always my favorite, so one's enough for me, but I'll try to get fine and medium in the 9016 and the 9013. But in the meantime, this 9019 is one of my favorite new pens for the moment, especially because it's a good price. I feel like anybody can buy it, and it's a really pleasant writing experience. So anyway, I would love to hear if any of you are using this pen. I don't know what happened here. My pens are off screen again. I wasn't paying attention to this when I was recording this morning. I was just thankful it was really quiet this morning, and then I guess it was too quiet because even you couldn't hear me. But if you're using this pen, and I would love to hear your experience, if you're using which nib size, what color you bought, if you're enjoying it, what would you compare it to if you have nicer pens to compare it to. Like I've mentioned before, I don't have any $100, $200, $300, $600 pens to compare it to. So in my humble experience, which has only been 4 or 5 years of writing with fountain pens, I really enjoy them. So I would love to hear what you think about this pen, or if you have any advice about the pen or any other ones you want me to compare to this pen. Anything pens, you know I'm here to talk about pens. So I hope this helped you and I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.